Good evening. It's the Tuesday tick on the Boise bus. Welcome along, Phil. I got a question just before we came on saying, who's on tonight? And I said, it's David and Phil. But here, we've got a surprise, everybody. Regan's back. Regan's back. How's it going, Regan? Oh, he's muted himself. There he is.
I'm doing well. It's great to be on. I'm sorry I couldn't do that Jack out the box, but I'm glad to be on. It's great to be here. I know me and Phil were on Friday. It was good to be on talking Scotland, but I'm looking forward to talking some transfers with you too.
That's it, mate. This is the show where we do all the news, the gossip, the hearsay surrounding Celtic and easy peeps. Is there not plenty of news and gossip and hearsay to talk about tonight, Phil? I mean, but before we get into that, of course, we have got a lot of housekeeping to do. So give us a like, give us a share, slag the hair, all that jazz. You can become a Boise Sports member for a small cost of $1.99. All the content is free. It's just your way to help support the bus and keep everything rolling. You make sure you hit that notification bell because it just popped up on my phone there that you can watch live now. The Boise Bus, the Tuesday ticket has popped up on my phone. And by the way, thank God that's come up because some of the other notifications that have popped up on my screen since I went live that we're up against. I got a little message there from the dailymail.co.uk. I don't know why, saying inside China's terrifying robot factory. So I've had to save that for later because I need to know all about that terrifying robot factory. But we'll get on to that later.
Yes, indeed.
Piesports.com. Get on there and get your tasty face treats. Don't do what Terry does and not put in the code BUS1888 to get your 12.5% off. Do not do that. You need to make sure you get your 12.5% off. That's why we plug it so you can get that tasty little discount.
Get your pies in before the Euros kick off, folks.
Get your pies in before the Chinese terrifying robots come and buy the ball. Right, well, let's get on to all the goss because there's been quite a lot. I sat and I wrote all my notes today to see what was available to talk about. And just before we came on, Phil, about an hour ago, a story has come out about our South Korean striker Hyeon-gyu. Apparently, Belgian sources have confirmed that the talks have already begun over a potential move for O to head to Genk, who are keen to land the South Korean international. They have made the 23-year-old who netted 5 goals for us this season, or last season, one of their top targets. It remains to be seen if it would be a loan deal or permanent. It all depends on what Celtic's stance on the striker is. Phil, can you see O leaving this summer, and would it be beneficial for us just for it to be a loan, or do you think we should just cut ties with O and let him go off to Belgium to play for Genk permanently?
Yeah, I think it would be best for all parties that we let him go. Even if we need to cut our losses a wee bit, take a hit on the price, not that we paid a massive amount. But as we know, Celtic have got plenty of money in the bank right now, so I don't think it'd be too much a problem to take a wee loss on that one because I don't really foresee a future for him. It was another one of those wild punts of a deal, and it's just not quite worked out for him. There's been wee flashes here and there. I think last season there was one game in particular against Aberdeen where we ran riot that day and beat them 6-0. I think he scored a brace, and he looked quite lively there, but never really kicked on from that point. Because up to that stage, he'd still had wee fleeting moments here and there. But I felt like that game, especially the performance we put in as a whole that day, this could be his chance to really push on. And I think it's not like since the turn of the year, he's only featured in like a handful of match day squads. Never mind getting on the park, but just being in the match day squad seems to have been a rarity for him since Adam Ida was in. So for me, it's no question. He's got to go. He's got to go, David.
He's got to go. Regan, I think Phil's knocked the nail on the head there. He's not had a look in pretty much since Adam Ida came in, so it kind of goes to show you that as soon as Rodgers could find somebody to be that second striker, always just surplus to requirements. And I think Phil's right. I think it's probably best for both parties that he moves on. It's just not worked. I really wanted it to work for him, but I can't say it has. I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is, David. And I think when Brendan Rodgers assessed he can probably say that he's got something there. but I don't think he's got something there in terms of you look at Celtic brought Adam Ida in from Norwich, David, and he's really made an impact to the second half of the season. And I'm going to make a statement here. I don't feel as if we kept David and we didn't bring in Adam Ida, I don't think we'd be sitting here with the league title. I think Adam Ida's come in, he brought that proper satisfaction to Brendan Rodgers that he's thinking that he had the very first time when he had Hudson Edward, Dembele and Lee Griffiths as well. So that's the kind of competition that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that Brendan Rodgers had as well, if you look at the first half of the season, Kyogo played the majority of the 90 minutes. Under Ange Postecoglou, Kyogo didn't play 90 minutes because he brought Giacomakis back on for 60, and then he would try some other things. So I just think, in terms of I just think Brendan Rodgers has seen from very early on that he's not been up to the standard of Celtic.
No, I agree. I agree with your statement. I don't think O would have come up with the goals that were required to get over the line against like the likes of Motherwell, the Rangers final. I don't think O would have been that guy. Like you said, Regan, when Ange had Giacomakis to bring on, it changed. The way we played changed. Whereas I think when O would come on, he would try to do the things that Kyogo would do and just make an arse of it. Really, just not just.
People could say, David, that O scored when he got a chance, but if you look at the goals that O scored, he scored 2 goals when we were 4-0 up against Aberdeen at home. He's not coming on and making a big impact where the game's nothing each. I mean, there's a perfect example. Celtic were 2-0 up against Rangers. It goes back to 2 each. It's a draw at that time, and Adam Ida comes on straight away, scores. I think if you're bringing O on there, I don't think he scores, but I think Adam Ida's got that presence about him, and I think he's shown to Brendan Rodgers that even if it is £6 to £8 million, Celtic should be spending that type of money.
Yeah, I think Ian McIntosh is absolutely right. It's the word raw is the perfect way to describe. Oh, he's as green as goose shit, Phil, and he's not. He needs to go out on loan to. Well, we're saying he needs to go on loan. It looks like he could be away permanently, but if it is only a loan deal, I'm happy for that. It's good for him to go out and try and play in another. I mean, he's come straight from South Korea, never played in Europe before. Be good for him to go and try a different type of European football. And if he does come back on loan a better player, then it's only Celtic that will benefit. Either Genk like him enough to want to buy him permanently, or we've got ourselves a player that's done well, hopefully, in Belgium, that maybe another Belgian side wants to sign him. That could be a possibility. Or he comes back to Celtic and he has a decent career for us. Everyone's a winner in that sense. But that's enough on the O chat. I want to talk about this man that's been heavily liked in the last day or so, and that is Chris Mepham. The Welsh central defender. So Celtic are reportedly interested in signing AFC Bournemouth's Chris Mepham, who was also linked with Leeds. He was linked with Leeds and Sheffield United in January. He was a bit part player for Bournemouth last term. Mepham was reported to be of interest for Leeds and the Blades at the half-time stage of the season. However, when the window slammed shut, the defender had not penned terms anywhere. Despite staying put in January, it appears Mepham could be on the move this summer. And according to the Mail Online, Celtic are interested in taking the 26-year-old north of the border. Now, Phil, this man is a Welsh international. He has played at Bournemouth for quite some time. And he also is very familiar with a certain Cameron Carter-Vickers, who he partnered alongside in the 2021 season. Now, we were trying to figure out if that was the season that Bournemouth had got promoted to the Premiership. It wasn't. They were knocked out in the semi-finals in the 2021 season. Right. What's your thoughts on Mepham? Does this sound like one that could be a possibility? And if so, how excited are you on the possibility of getting the Welsh international in alongside his old Bournemouth teammate?
Yeah, to me, the profile fits of what we're looking for. The fact that he's played alongside Carter Vickers pretty well in a past life obviously works well too. Reunite with him, because at the moment, I know Liam Scales did have the season of his life, and fair play for the shift he put in, but we do need to improve in that area. Liam Scales, for me, still isn't going to be the long-term answer, but I think Liam Scales is now bedding himself in as a good, solid option. I'd rather have him as a guy to rotate in than a Stephen Welsh, for instance. I think Scales has far surpassed him. Lagerbielke and the Vrotsky, who knows what the future holds for them. So I think a guy like Mepham would be a good shout. The teams that you said that are linked to him, that actually encourages me, because Leeds did not get promoted and Sheffield United went down. So if it's a straight decision for him between he can go and play in the Championship for one of the two Yorkshire clubs there, or he can come and play for us, compete for trophies, play, of course, in the lucrative Champions League, then you'd like to think that Celtic have got the ability to get that deal over the line if it is indeed a goer. You'd think we've got enough appeal there that we can beat them. End of the day, I know the Championship is still a very rich league, and it's still a very competitive league. Leeds, I'd imagine, are going to be looking to come roaring back next season after the way that they flopped at the end of the season. They should have got promoted. So depends how aggressive they are in the negotiations. If they're seriously pursuing them, money could be the dictating factor, but from an appeal point of view, you'd like to think that what Celtic can put on the table, again, would be enough to, and we've known Carter Vickers well. You'd like to think that Cameron Carter Vickers can obviously, persuade him a little bit, and, because I think a lot of players, like Joe Hart showed that over the last 3 years, he didn't realise what he was getting himself into coming up here. There's a very interesting perspective down south for a lot of players where they don't realise the power of this club when they come up here and they actually experience it. So again, Carter Vickers could be that guy that can say to him, it's not what you think, by the way. Don't think it's you're just going to come up here and walk it. The games can be very, very competitive and whatnot. So again, there's a lot of it that could go away in this one.
Well, Regan, you'll know this best now. I found an article from a certain Tom Rogers on the 13th of August 2021 where they were talking about the possibility of Bournemouth reopening talks to sign Lone Star Cameron Carter Vickers on a permanent deal. Now, I'm just going to read this article quickly, okay? Carter Vickers spent the whole of 2021 season on loan with the Cherries, and despite having an injury-troubled campaign, he was still one of their key players as they made the playoffs. The injury to Cook meant that Lloyd Kelly has had to fill in at centre-back despite being a natural left-back, and with Cook still not being back in full training, attention is turned to Cameron Carter Vickers as he could well sort out their defensive issues. The defender played alongside Chris Mepham numerous times last season and struck up a great partnership with the Welsh international, and he would slot back in perfectly. Now, am I right in saying that obviously Cameron Carter Vickers did not go back to Bournemouth, and that was the window that we signed him on loan? So, like Phil's saying, Regan, despite the Championship being a lucrative proposition for players, where if Cameron Carter Vickers had chose to go back to Bournemouth permanently, he would have been playing in the Championship, and he chose to come up to Celtic to win trophies with us. And that could be a perfect example as to what Phil was saying about maybe he maybe sounded him out and saying, listen, you've been at Bournemouth, are you wanting to stick around in the Championship with Leeds and hope to get up, or you can come and experience what I've experienced for the last 3 years and win trophies and play in the Champions League. I mean, I'm quite excited. I can't say I know much about him, Regan. You might know a little bit more than I do on him. You maybe watched them play.
Yeah.
But if he's enjoyed a partnership with Cameron Carter Vickers in the past, it surely must be an exciting proposition for him to come up and win trophies alongside his former centre-back partner.
I think he would be very good at Celtic. I mean, I've seen people in the comments talking about that he reminds you of Shane Duffy and stuff like that. But I mean, see, before Vickers was at Celtic, he was very injury prone. He wasn't fragile doing something. He let go with Spurs. Bournemouth, he was injury prone as well. So I think people can sometimes, because it's down south, they get a little bit, oh, this could be like this player. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, see if Cameron Carter Vickers has got a great partnership with him, then I'm perfectly happy with that. I mean, because I'd rather have Mepham than Scales as well, because as much as Phil was saying there that Scales has done really well, but there was if you watch a lot of the goals that we conceded last year, especially in the Aberdeen in the semi-final, a lot of the times Scales is putting the ball out of play, and then Aberdeen score from that. So he's just causing his own problems. So I think in terms of Mepham, I think it's a great idea, especially because Vickers has got that partnership with him as well. Because I think that's something that we've really took for granted over the past year. I mean, people don't talk about him now because he's left, but see the partnership they had with Starfield as well. That partnership was brilliant. So if we can get another partnership like that, then I wouldn't be against it, because I'm sure Vickers and Starfield were unbeaten when they played matches together. So I'm sure Mepham and Vickers would be a very good partnership.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I do sit and, I mean, to be fair, the comments have been fairly positive on the idea of Mepham, but I know there will be some fans out there that will be sitting going, "Oh, is that what we need, a Bournemouth reject?" Because that will be the narrative for some fans. I mean, let's be honest, that there will be that. But we have to bear in mind and remember some of the players that have become household names at our club were certain Norwich rejects, Tottenham rejects, Man City,
Scott Sinclair. Scott Sinclair didn't get a game at relegated at Aston Villa, but Brendan Rodgers was a guy that made him score over 50 goals for Celtic, many trophies. I think people judge this too much. Scott Sinclair is. I've been supporting Celtic for 26 years of my life, and Scott Sinclair's scored a lot of their goals.
Absolutely. Now, the reason I say that is because I'm going to be sounding hypocritical here, because I can't help but feel this way about the next man. And I know I've seen some of the comments already, so they're going to obviously push back on me. And I'm glad, because I need them to push back on me on this, because I'm struggling with this one. And Regan, you brought his name up this morning in our Tuesday Ticket group chat, and I quickly slapped you back down and said, "No, please no." However, there will be fair comments in the chat, and also Regan, I'm sure you'll also be on this side of the fence that will maybe bring me down a little bit and make me feel a little less concerned. But Celtic are lining up a summer move for Martin Dubravka.
Yep.
Spot on.
Look at that. Oh, I've been sitting in the mirror behind me there saying his name.
Yeah,
if I said it enough, he would appear behind me. Martin Dubravka with Newcastle United willing to allow their Slovakian goalkeeper to leave. So he's 35 years old, and he will enter the final year of his current contract at the end of the month. He did stand in for Nick Pope for majority of the second half of the season, 23 appearances, but his performances were a bit mixed, to say the least, and Eddie Howe does not see him as a realistic candidate for the starting spot next term. Now, Newcastle have also begun a massive overhaul in the goalkeeping department with the release of Loris Karius, the ex-Liverpool man.
Wow.
And they've opened talks with Burnley over a potential 20 million purchase of James Trafford. So if Trafford signs, they'll be expected to battle out with Nick Pope for a place as the Newcastle number one. So I can't see Dubravka sticking around. I think they will obviously want to get rid of him. Now, this article here says, Phil, that Dubravka ticks Rodgers' boxes with his extensive experience at international level and Premier League level, and combining with a price tag and wage demands that are within Celtic's range. Now, I couldn't tell you if that's the case in terms of wage bracket and price, but there, smell the gloves. He's just nailed it right on the head for me, Phil. You swap a 36-year-old for a 35-year-old. We're back at the same place that we started next season, and that's my biggest issue. I also don't think he's that good a goalkeeper. See, if you said Dubravka maybe 6-7 years ago, I'd have been all over it.
Yep.
But I mean, Man United took him just to fill a spot because they needed somebody, and Newcastle were happy to punt him. I mean, and I know the argument, I've just said it, Bournemouth rejects, Swansea rejects, Newcastle, we got Fraser Foster as a third choice goalkeeper from Newcastle. A young Fraser Foster with potential, though.
Yeah.
I just can't help but feel that Dubravka's just a bit of a nuisance that Newcastle just want rid of. They just don't. I'm not meaning like he's a nuisance in terms of like attitude or anything. I just feel like they want him off the wages. We don't need him. Can you just somebody take him off us? Man United, please just have him. Like, that's the vibe I get, and I don't know if that's the goalkeeper that I want to replace Joe Hart this season, Phil.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you on this one, just again with the age. I know goalkeepers can play for a lot longer. You know, it's been shown that they have over the years. I think Gianluigi Buffon was playing until he was about 45-year-old, so goalkeepers can do it a bit longer. But yeah, we just had a 37-year-old Joe Hart retire. Are we looking to get 2 years, 3 years out of Dubravka? It's like, to me, the goalkeeper is such an important position. It's something I think is worth investing significant money in to get somebody for a good long time. Again, the name that I keep coming back to when I think about it is Angus Gunn. I think Angus Gunn's the guy. Norwich didn't get promoted as well. And it's like, this is your chance. Go and get him, the Scotland number one keeper. For me, that one would be the one I would invest in. If Norwich want like 7-8 million for him, then I say invest it. It's the goalkeeper. It's the last line of defence. It's so important to have a great goalkeeper. And I think he's shown enough with what he's done with Scotland to be Celtic's number one keeper. But for a guy like Dubravka, obviously you get Premier League experience, but yeah, the age thing for me just puts us right back to the same thing with Joe Hart there, where Dubravka might come up and play. He might actually be quite good, but again, 2 years' time, you're looking to retire, then you're back to the same spot again. You're with a goalie. But I think if we were to sign somebody like the profile of Angus Gunn, you're talking maybe a good 5 years or so you could get out of him.
Well, what if I said to you he was to come in and maybe be second choice, fighting for first choice? Because I think,
well, yeah, that puts a different perspective on it. That's more appealing.
That's more appealing now. But would a Slovakian international goalkeeper that's been sitting on a bench at Newcastle, would he be happy being second choice? I don't know. Well, listen, he'll win trophies. He might just be quite happy to pick up some trophies. We know there's a certain Manchester City goalkeeper that's happy to do that. Maybe he'd be happy to do that, because I can't see Regan. What's his name? The big lad, ex-Dundee United guy. What's his name? Seagrass. Totally out of my head there. I could see him leaving. So we might be needing 2 goalkeepers, unless of course we call up the young boy for the youth team. But I don't see that.
We're needing 2 goalkeepers, because Seagrass is not somebody that Brendan Rodgers bought either. And don't forget, Scott Bain signed a 1-year contract last year, so I think he'll be needing to go as well. So we're probably needing 2 anyway.
Well, I feel like Scott Bain will be here till doomsday. He just keeps signing deals. He'll just want to be here as a third choice, second choice, whatever. He's more than happy to just keep picking up that wage.
Yeah, performing card tricks in the
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're no further with this goalkeeper situation. This is the third Tuesday ticket since we took over this, and we've spoken about Casteels. We're talking about the Turkish boy that's at Man United. We've talked about obviously Dubravka there. I mean, there's a different goalkeeper every week.
Well, that's right, David. It was very public knowledge that we are in the market for a goalkeeper, and again, it can be agents and clubs just using our name to get their players and their clients a move. So Celtic it's very well known that Celtic are in the market, because a high-profile goalie like Joe Hart retiring in the way that he did, so everyone knows that Celtic are looking for a goalie. So an agent's got a goalkeeper, one of his clients needs to use Celtic's name to push his value up a wee bit and stuff like that. So there's that. We're going to get linked with loads of goalkeepers, I think. At the end of the day, it's going to be a good few weeks before I think we've got an answer of who it's going to be.
Do you think Celtic have briefed Joe Hart who they're looking at?
That's a good question, Regan.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it. Do you think maybe, because the more and more I think about Joe Hart, do you think he maybe goes, this guy would be good for the Celtic dressing room or something like that? Do you think maybe I don't know, I'm just trying to think, maybe Celtic have briefed Joe Hart and said, these are the profile of people that we are looking at. Who would you recommend? I don't know.
I'd like to think so. the influence. Again, I said earlier on, just about the way he's now, how he views the club after not knowing much about it before he came up here. Again, things like that can work to an advantage. The things that he can say to people he knows down in the English game about, you should honestly go up there and try it. So there might be, I mean, they might consult with Joe Hart and just say about, in terms of does he is there anyone that he thinks would be a good person for us to approach? It could be, but I'd like to think that if that's the case, then he's speaking obviously very, very highly about us right now.
I mean, the name Kelleher keeps coming up, and obviously he's playing tonight for Ireland again. I don't want to keep going over old ground, but I mean, if we're going to go for a goalkeeper of that caliber, I would be asking the question if we could get him on loan at least. If we can't get him permanently, just seeing if it's a possibility of getting him on loan, because I think Liverpool will try to bring in another goalkeeper, one that Arne Slot likes himself, as maybe a backup or even to challenge Alisson for the number one shot. And I think, therefore, if it's true that Liverpool want to move him on and say maybe he does fancy coming to Celtic, I think a loan would be an option. But I don't want to keep going up.
Do we know how much they're going to value him at?
The 20 million or something you can mention. So I don't. We'll not keep going over that because we spoke about it a fair few times. But I think if the goalkeeping situation doesn't get resolved, like the longer it goes on, the more and more, and say he hasn't moved on for Liverpool. Because I mean, the clubs that are interested, that are apparently would be maybe interested in him, are clubs like Nottingham Forest and clubs like maybe Aston Villa. I don't know. Clubs that need to sell because of this new rule. This new rule, Regan, that's come in, they've really shot themselves in the foot with this new rule, because I think it was the clubs that voted for it. I think the only clubs that weren't interested in it were your Chelseas, your Cities, and
the top six mafia. Yeah.
Now, they have to move on some players which I think Celtic could benefit from, and maybe the goalkeeping situation could be resolved through that. Now, Regan, I know you're strapped for time, so I want to try and get through this. This is another guy that you brought up today. You were proper throwing a bunch of names at me, so let me see if I can pronounce this. We were practicing this one as well, weren't we, Phil? So Flavius Daniliuc is a name that's popped up. If you do not know who he is, apparently Celtic has a concrete interest in this player. He's 23 years old. He's a centre back, and his contract with his current team, Phil,
Salernitana.
Thank you. Runs until 2026, but he's been on loan at RB Salzburg, and who they would like to try and keep a hold of him, but there's not been a final decision on whether they will or not yet. So apparently Celtic are ready to kind of go into battle for his signature, according to Sky Sports Germany. That's where that article has come from. Now it says that the 23-year-old had made 27 appearances across all competitions, combining his exploits at Salzburg and his parent club, registering 3 assists in total. Born in Vienna, he is also capable of functioning at right back, providing versatility. A potential sell-on value if Celtic are indeed courting the defender. Phil, I mean, you heard much about this boy? Has he ever propped up in conversation in past for you? He's certainly not on that old shopping list that gets now and again. 23 years old, centre back, can play right back.
Yeah,
Austrian international. He's away to the Euros.
Well, yeah, that's always something to look at. We might be playing for the Austrian. It might be just a squad player, but if he's obviously in any of the starting lineups, then I'll be sure to keep an eye out for him. I think the power here is going to lie with Salzburg, who had him on loan. I guess they probably have some kind of first option, I would guess. Because Salernitana, who obviously is his parent club, they got relegated from Serie A. They finished bottom of Serie A this season. I think they had a quite measly, like 17 or 16 points as well. They had a really poor season. So is he going to fancy going back there and being in Serie B next season? Salernitana as well, it could be a similar thing where they might need to shed players off the wage bill because they're going down to the lower league. So there could be that as well. They might be desperate to sell. But I think ultimately Salzburg are probably going to have first dibs on the guy. And I believe, though, I do believe that Salzburg, I saw this headline the other week, Salzburg for the first time in many years did not win the Austrian league. Sturm Graz won it, so they actually broke the stranglehold of Red Bull. So I don't know how much he was involved in that. Did he cost them in any way? How consistent was he? Because, he was in a Salzburg team that didn't win the Austrian league. So, but
if they want to keep him, he must have done all right. If they want to keep him, he must have done all right, Phil.
So about them, they'll have first dibs on him. But yeah, if again, it's one of these ones, there's going to be a lot of names flying around. So I don't know much about him, not an expert on him. But again, the profile, I was going to say, I think Mepham still has a better profile. To me, this boy maybe a bit more than a Lagerbielke type profile, and it's like we saw how that went. A bit of a gamble type signing. So again, with that one, I'm not too sure. We'll just need to wait and see. But hey, it'd be good if he does play. If he is playing for Austria during the European Championships here, that'd be really handy. Keep an eye on him anyway. But we'll wait and see.
Where you go?
I mean, it is crazy that we spend like 3 or 4 million on these guys, that we won't spend about 9 million on players like Uda and stuff like that. Because you think back to Bernabe and stuff like that, spend 3 million on him, and he's not made it any Mexico either. So yeah, I think he's more of a project sign, I would say. But I think it's one of these ones where if he's playing for Austria, he must be of a decent level. So I think I would take that.
Do you think the fact that Matt O'Reilly didn't get picked for the Euros will play a part in other players' decision making about coming to Scotland? I know the Japanese manager has his thing about Kyogo for some reason, but Daizen Maeda and Hitati still get picked for their national side. Probably argue they might be a better national side than Denmark, so we'll never know. But do you think that could play a part, Vegan? Because we've got a boy that's getting picked for his national side, but a player of the calibre of Matt O'Reilly, we all know how good a player he is. But it's because of the league that he played a big factor in why he wasn't picked for the competition now. Obviously, this won't be a worry for these players for another 4 years or 2 years for the World Cup or whatever. But does that play a part?
I don't think he'll play a part right now, but I think if he continues to get put down, then yes. I think for Matt O'Reilly, he's still in that early stage of his development, but I do think he's better than some of the players that are in the squad. I'll give you an example. I feel like in the Scotland squad, there's players in that squad that probably shouldn't be in the squad, but Steve Clarke is very loyal to his players. I feel like it's probably the same thing with the Denmark thing. I think people like Eriksson, who I loved at Spurs, he's probably not that great anymore, and he's probably somebody that you could draft out. And the manager's probably just too loyal, and that's probably the problem. I think once Denmark exit this cycle and maybe they say we're going to take a new approach, then surely this will bring success for Matt O'Reilly, because he's somebody that surely can't be overlooked. Because of course you can talk about Scotland, but I mean that's fair. But we were talking on a Sunday about Matt O'Reilly's great pass to Kyogo in the Champions League when I was at the match when Matt O'Reilly played the ball through to Kyogo and Kyogo scored that goal. That was one of the best goals in European football for weeks. So surely it can't just be all about he's played in Scotland.
No, it's a total fair point. I think a lot of the Danish supporters were quite surprised and annoyed that he wasn't selected for the tournament. But hey, listen, makes no odds to me. I think he's away anyway, so it's not this a whole like, oh, we've got a fresh Matt O'Reilly. Right, quickly, I'll stop just now. Regan, you need to shoot off. It's 9:05.
See you later, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Regan.
thanks for Regan.
Lads.
What we'll try and do, Regan, we'll try and get on at 8 o'clock next week, if that makes it easier for you, mate. All right, so we can get you off the full show. All right.
No worries, mate. That's good.
Right, thanks for joining us, mate.
Cheers,
Nice.
mate.
See you later on.
See you, man.
Right, who wants to jump on? Open invitation. Come in. Right, well, we'll move on. Now, you mentioned the name there, Phil, that we'll talk about.
Okay.
And that's Gustaf.
Yes.
We're on first name terms, me and Gustaf. We go way back.
Sure you do.
Yeah. Took me months to learn his name, but we got there. Lagerbielke. Yeah, so Italian clubs are ready to move for the 3 million rated Celtic defender. Well, still worth 3 million despite not kicking a ball. But I'm pretty sure we've had that situation before, I think. Is it Simonovic to be sold? We got he was apparently we were offered X amount for him. He didn't kick a ball for a year and we still managed to sell him for the price that he was valued at the year before. So, I mean, it's not out of the question.
Joseph Simonovic was on the verge of a move to Torino, and it didn't happen because I think he made a surprise thing. He failed a medical, and came back to us. I know, shock horror. And yeah, he's obviously. I think he's been out for. I think he's not had a club for a wee while. To be fair,
but the point I was making is, I'm sure he was. Then we're still getting offers around the same price that Torino were willing. But anyway, Lagerbielke, despite his lack of playing time at Celtic, it looks like there's still quite a bit of interest in his signature, and if he were to leave this summer, Italy appears to be the most likely destination. It is reported by Tutto Mercato via Football Scotland. Is it that Lecce? Is it Lecce? Lecce. We'll make another. I know that's why I struggled with the pronunciation. I didn't do the hands. We'll make another attempt to bring Lagerbielke to Italy. However, there are a few other Italian clubs that are also interested in this signature. It looks like it's just not worked out for old Gustaf, my wee pal. I mean, he had a bit of a reputation coming over from Sweden. It was highly rated, young Swedish international. He was getting picked for the international team and the national side. He scored in a Champions League game for us. That didn't help. Memory now. You know what's weird about that whole thing though, Phil, was he was on his way to Italy. Like, it was pretty much a done deal. They wanted to sign him permanently, and we blocked it. It was pretty well documented that we blocked it, and he didn't feature since. It just makes no sense. I feel like we've kind of pissed around with his career a wee bit. I don't want to fully blame Celtic because I think that the player has to take some sort of responsibility, and perhaps there was mention of his attitude in training by the manager. He never came out and said it was him, but I think he was talking about him and maybe not Rocky. However, I do feel like, was he given the fairest crack of the whip? And the fact that we stopped the move from happening when we clearly didn't need him after all suggests that it's just been a bit of a wasted year and a bit of waste of money for Celtic. So hopefully, if he is leaving, Phil, we can get our cash back.
Yeah, it was a bit of a waste for the boy's career completely. A bit of a gap year for him, essentially. Hope he get paid well on that gap year because, he's no featured. It's been a shambles the way that's been handled. I don't think he played that bad, to be honest. In the, 8 or so games that he played at the start of the season, where it was him and Liam Scales pretty much for thrown in there with a bit of sticky tape to hold the back line together. I think they played not too bad. I got all went wrong for him in Rotterdam, where we played Feyenoord and lost 2-0, and he gets sent off that night. And after that, he's not really featured, apart from coming on and scoring the Champions League. Dead rubber, essentially, but we did need to get that win. I think we just needed it just to get the monkey off the back because the European record was getting so bad at that point. But yeah, he was kept behind because of Carter Vickers' injury. It was a case of we need to keep you just in case, we need cover. And I get 2 substitute appearances. That was it. So yeah, it was a complete shambles. So for me, it's writings on the wall there that he will be gone in the summer. Where it is on loan for a year to Lecce, and they decide to sign him next summer. But if they've come in for him in January, and they're coming back in again, they're clearly keen on the boy. And again, you got to wonder if a Serie A club is looking at him and they're chasing him that much, but we can't seem to find any use for him. It does make you wonder at times. It's like, well, what are they seeing in training? Obviously, I mean, Brendan Rodgers, the manager, he sees it every single day when he goes into training with them. So it's hard for us to comment. But when you're looking at that and the evidence of a team for Serie A is chasing this guy consistently, 2 windows in a row now, there's got to be something there. There has to be a player there. How it's not worked out for him, who knows? But I can see it being the end of the road for Gustaf, your best mate, first name terms.
The Italians seem to like players playing in Scotland. I mean,
they do.
I mean, you just look at Aaron Hickey, and Lewis Ferguson is apparently the greatest Italian-based midfielder to ever live. It's like, so they obviously see potential in players playing in our league, that maybe it suits them. I'm looking at the comments here, and I feel like there's going to be some sort of side show that we're going to have to do now, Phil. It's just me trying to read really difficult Italian words. Just give me a list of words that I'll try and pronounce them and just butcher every single one of them, because that just seems to be the only thing getting discussed in the comments right now is the way I pronounce terribly.
My favourite one was Ian McIntosh said a $3 million Lecce bill. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
That's class.
Yeah. Fuck you, Ian. Joking, Ian. Love you, mate. Love you. Right. A name a little easier for me to pronounce. And this one's going to upset the judge in Boise from Thursday night. But these reports just aren't going away. So they're going to have to be discussed. And that is, of course, our former player. That's right, former player.
Careful now.
Kieran Tierney. Big KT. Kieran Tierney. The reports just won't go away because Arsenal are looking to move him on.
Yeah.
Which I find odd because their left back situation didn't. I mean, Phil, you'll know better than me, but they really. I'm just surprised that they want to get rid of a very good left back. One that was touted to be a future captain at Arsenal only a couple of seasons ago. But obviously, Arteta doesn't like him. Could be a numerous bunch of reasons as to why. Free up some wages, the injuries, the lot. It's not worked out for Kieran Tierney. He's walking away with an FA Cup medal, though, Phil, so it's not all bad. But yeah, he is apparently available for a small fee of 10 million, according to the Sunday Post. And Kieran Tierney has apparently expressed his love at the idea of returning to his former club, that is Celtic. I mean, we can get into discussion about whether it's a good idea or not. Whether I see it happening, I'd personally love it to happen. Whether it will, Phil, I do not know. He's done all right in Spain. He loved his time in Spain. I mean, the weather will certainly have helped. I think there might be a few suitors in Spain. There'll certainly be suitors in the Premier League. That'll be interesting in him, and I think it could all come down to whether he survives this Euros tournament without injury.
Yeah, true.
I genuinely think that's could be a big factor. Like if he walks off after 60 minutes against Germany, then I don't see many people being too keen to get him on a permanent, maybe a loan. Is it going to happen? Should it happen? Will it happen?
There's a lot of happening questions getting thrown at me there. Will it happen? I don't know. Don't know at this point. Maybe it's aye, maybe it's no. Should it happen? Well, aye, because he makes our team better. That's the first question I ask anybody. I know there's been a lot of chat recently about the looking back and these former names getting linked with and being lazy. But my first question is, does this player make us better right now? Well, right now, our current left back is Greg Taylor. The other left back that we've got is currently out in Brazil, not even getting a game. It's still on our books. So does Kieran Tierney make that position better for us? Yes. So should it happen? Well, aye. If we can make it happen, then aye. So it is possible. It could possibly happen. It's there to be done if it needs to. The biggest thing is, if Brendan Rodgers wants him, that's the thing. If Brendan Rodgers has went into the Celtic boardroom and has said that he wants him, and that goes the same for any of all these names that are getting linked with us right now, the former players, they say there's a lot of pushback on we shouldn't be looking back the way and whatnot. But if Brendan Rodgers can justify it and sees use for a guy like, well, Kieran Tierney, there's plenty of use there, but somebody more akin to, say, Stuart Armstrong, right? His name's flying about as well, of course. But obviously, Stuart Armstrong right now is a free transfer. So, anyway, that'd tick a box for the Celtic board. But think of it this way. Would you rather have James McCarthy sitting in the stands, not contributing at all, or Stuart Armstrong, who would come in on a free? Brendan Rodgers has worked him before and got the best out of him when he was here. And it's like, well, you can have that. You can have James McCarthy sitting in the stands doing nothing, picking up a wage, or Stuart Armstrong who can maybe contribute. So when you look at it from that perspective, I'm a bit more open to it. But these are all, it's all up there and we're in the silly season at the moment. But yes. I do think that the whole thing, the whole stigma that seems to be going around right now about looking back, not looking forward, I'm like, there is pros and cons to this. There is.
Oh, yeah, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. It definitely is. So, but in terms of Tierney, could it happen? We've definitely got the facilities to do it and pull it off. And he would definitely make us better in that position. But will it happen? I don't know at the moment. He is obviously very injury prone. That is obviously a bit of a problem right now. Yeah. His injuries have not gotten better since leaving Celtic. And you're right, there will be other clubs looking at him. There will be some clubs from other big leagues that will have an interest. Because how could you not? He's a quality player. He's absolutely quality. So
I think it's the most realistic. Out of all the names, I'm not gonna put Stuart Armstrong into that category right now, Phil, because personally I don't think we're even looking at him. I heard on Talk Sport the other day that Fulham are very interested in signing him.
That's a good move, man. That'd be a great move for him.
I think Fulham would be a great move for him, and I think that's where we'll end up. So I'm not going to count him at the minute because I don't think there's been strong enough links. But the Kieran Tierney one, I think it's the most realistic one because of who it is and because of, Alex Forsyth, I've started your comment here. I don't think this will be a stumbling block. I don't think wages concern Kieran Tierney. We see the way these guys turn up to training and as the bags and stuff like that. He's not that flashy. I don't think he's particularly enjoyed living in London. He's enjoyed his time in Spain. He's been quite open about that. I think, if Joe Hart's willing to take a wage cut to come play for Celtic, I think he's done all right. Kieran Tierney's done all right in the last few years in terms of earning coin. I think does he want to go and play for this? Let's just say, for argument's sake, one of the new guys come up and they go, we'll take Kieran Tierney. Is he going to want to play for one of the newly promoted sides, or is he wanting to come back and play for Celtic? I think it'd be a no-brainer for him, and I think he would say, "Don't worry about the wages. We can figure out the wages."
Yeah, I feel like Kieran Tierney's personality is he doesn't come across to me as a guy that is totally driven by money. There are some players that you just get the instinct that their whole thing is just to earn as much money as possible. I think Kieran Tierney,
sorry. There's a good question. I just want to throw it in there before I lose it. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Phil, but could we do better than Kieran Tierney for 10 million? You might find a fitter player in terms of injuries for 10 million. But if I was to go, right, Phil, there's 10 million, sign a left back for Celtic. I struggle to think of a player that we could attract. And I think that's a big factor, Phil, is that we can attract Kieran Tierney. Stephen Kennedy says Joe Henry. Nope, he doesn't think we can either. Does that, if you can remember what you were going to say, Phil, I'm sorry that I cut you off, mate.
No, that question is fine. In terms of can we do better, well, you can go with the devil you know, the devil you don't. And the way we go with our transfers in recent times, where we take these random punts on project players, does it work out? Sometimes it does, other times it doesn't. Or you've got a guy who is within the price bracket that we can afford with what's in the bank, who is a diehard Celtic fan. There is no denying that. He lives and breathes Celtic. And we know what we're getting with him? Yeah, okay, there is injury issues. We know that. And he's coming back to work under a manager, if that's the case. When you look at Kieran Tierney's time at Celtic, he was fantastic to the day he made his debut under Ronnie Dyler, but he was unbelievable in that first couple of years of Brendan Rodgers. It again was peak. Most of the players like Forrest, Armstrong, Tierney, they were all at their peak in those couple of Brendan years. So can we do better for 10 million? You're still taking quite a punt. You're getting a guy that you know what you're getting with him, and he is a top player.
So Greg Taylor gets a lot of stick, right, from a certain member of the bus. Okay, the wizard, the wise man. But if I was to say to somebody like the wise man, Punk Duck Warlord, Liam, any nickname you want to give him, throw it in there. If I was to say to somebody like him who doesn't like to see Greg Taylor start for Celtic, he doesn't want Greg Taylor starting for Celtic next season. But if I was to say, right, we can get Kieran Tierney in for 10 million, but if he gets injured for a month, a week, 2 months, half a season, we have a more than capable, I feel, left back in Greg Taylor, a more than capable substitute, a deputy, or whatever. That would even. Because Greg Taylor ain't going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's more than capable of he's done very well, I think, to be Kieran Tierney's replacement. Maybe a little bit so from that he's been replaced by the guy that he was brought into the place. But hey, that's how it goes. Now, Boyce's jumped in here and he's saying he's probably only player in the world that our board would consider 10 million for, as they could high-five each other and say that we really got him for 15 million profit. Now,
fair point,
I get what you're saying now, but I think, Phil, you said it pretty well. We're still going on speculation. There's not been real concrete, right? It's all rumours, right? But let's just say that is the case. That Kieran Tierney is the main guy that we're after this season for left back. If Brendan Rodgers wants him, that's all that, for me, that's all that matters. If Brendan Rodgers feels that that's the guy that I want back at the club, then I don't care that he played for us before. I don't care that it's considered looking back. To be honest, I think there's this narrative. Now, it was a great discussion on Thursday. I feel perhaps it was maybe one-sided on the other side, so this is why I'm trying to be the Jim White and be, push back just for push backing's sake, to create conversation and debate, which is what we love on the bus. Boise, you can jump on if you want. I know you're watching the background. If you're about, you can jump on for this. But is it such a crime that our manager is interested, perhaps, on signing some guys that were successful for him in the past? Because right now there seems to be a stick that a lot of Celtic fans, including myself, I feel like I'm getting beaten with a stick a little bit because I would like, he's not got his makeup on, fair enough, Boise. That I would be more than happy to see the likes of Odds and Edward back at the club, and Kieran Tierney back at the club, because these guys aren't coming back for a retirement fund. They're still 27, 26 years old, 25 years old, whatever, and we know what they're capable of. And do they make the club better? But we're getting beaten by the stick, I feel, on Twitter. There's a divide, which is what Twitter's all about, that we're looking back, and it's we're the only fan base that want to look back and not look forward. But I'm getting nothing. Nobody's giving me anything by saying, well, we should go for this guy. Who? If not Kieran Tierney, who? And only why would Brendan Rodgers be looking at players? Well, I'm just gonna name a bunch of players here that have played for multiple different managers, multiple different times at multiple different clubs. Matic for Jose Mourinho. Mourinho signed Matic to Chelsea, Manchester United, and Roma, and made 197 appearances under Jose Mourinho. Nico Kranjčar, who cares? For Harry Redknapp.
Harry Redknapp loves Nico Kranjčar.
Portsmouth, Tottenham, Queen's Park Rangers, 190 appearances. Salomon Rondon, Rafael Benitez, signing for Newcastle, Everton, 76 appearances. Bellini for David Moyes, Everton, Manchester United, 193 appearances. James Rodriguez, The Don Carlo Ancelotti signed him for Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Everton, 77 appearances. Ricardo Carvalho at Jose Mourinho, Chelsea, Real Madrid, 292 appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Paddy Kenny and Neil Warnock.
Oh, Neil Warnock getting a mention on the bus. Wow.
Sheffield United, Queen's Park Rangers, Leeds United, Rotherham, 336 appearances. Believe it or not, Brendan Rodgers has done it before. Kolo Touré signed for Liverpool, Celtic, 64 appearances.
Yep.
None of those guys that I've mentioned flopped at the second time around. So why, I mean, Kolo Touré, was he the greatest defender for us at the time? No, but he
helped us get in the Champions League that season.
He helped us out with the experience, and then he ended up becoming a coach. I mean, Carvalho, how do you pronounce his name? 292 appearances for Chelsea and Real Madrid. Jose Mourinho knows what he's getting from him. He helped him win for Porto. I think he won the Champions League with Porto with him.
Yep.
Moves to Chelsea. One of the first guys that he brings in because he trusts him. He knows what he's getting.
Trust, that's the word. That's it.
The word trust is the biggest thing. Now, yes, is it looking back? Yeah, I guess it is. Sometimes looking back, it isn't always that bad when it comes to certain players. I'm not saying this guy signed Scotty Sinclair again. I mean, the boy's like 38 years old, still in unbelievable shape, but I'm not saying that that's the kind of guy we should be looking at. But I think some players can go, could be the difference, can be the exception of the rule.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that big a deal or that bad to be looking at certain players. I mean, look, Monty's made I don't know if he's being a wide here, but
James Forrest. Yeah.
I mean, look he was basically gone.
Yeah.
And he comes in and makes a great contribution because trust. The manager ended up trusting him. And I think, Phil, you made a great the best thing that you said in this debate is that do these players make our first team better? And I'm not saying that's the only people that we should sign. He has been a Wido. Of course you are, Monty. You've always been a Wido, mate. But I should have known. But they make this side better, and I'm not saying that that's the only players we should be looking at. But if you want to sign some new guys for the future that are, at a price tag of 8 million for the boy for Bournemouth, sprinkling a little bit of Kieran Tierney in there, then I'm all for it, mate. I'm all for it. And if it's looking back and I'm being, one of those fans that's just only interested in looking back, then I guess I'll get my binoculars out and start looking back.
Looking back away. Yeah.
Look for the Rangers.
I mean, you were very fiery and passionate there. I don't think I can add too much to that. It was very well put together, and you're right about some of the examples you brought up. Managers go to another club and they look for people who they trust from their past that they can get in, that they know will do a job. And in this case, for Brendan Rodgers, who has came back to the same club. Let's keep that in mind as well. Brendan Rodgers, his second stint as Celtic manager. There are still some players out there that he worked with before at Celtic that might be available. And if he thinks, and again, I go back to what I said earlier on, if he wants them, and if he can present a case to the board and he thinks that these guys can come in and that's what he wants, so be it, man. I say, the big question again, do they improve our first team? As I said for Tierney, it's a no-brainer right away. Of course he does. Of course. So in that position, then yes, if that one is there, if that can be done, then by all means we should pursue it. Whether it will be done, it's a totally different question. We'll wait and see. It's all speculation at this point, but I do think there needs to be some balance on it where I don't think it needs to be seen as a negative all the time. I know people have tried to, I keep hearing the same names and examples coming up talking about when we Celtic, that the players came back and it's never really worked. People said Fraser Forster was an exception, although that was the season that got cut short because of COVID. So we didn't even get a full season of him. But of course, the way things were going that season, he was definitely on course to have a blinding season after that cup final. But then people point at Sean Maloney came back and it didn't really work for him. I thought of one the other night that nobody ever seems to mention that actually worked out brilliantly. Charlie Mulgrew went away from Celtic and came back and ended up winning Player of the Year in 2012. That was a massive turnaround. What a glow up that was for Charlie Mulgrew.
What was the narrative around signing him again?
I remember people were not happy about it. A free transfer from Aberdeen. Neil Lennon, just, even though at that point in time, I mean, a lot of fans nowadays do not forgive Neil Lennon for what happened in 2021. I'm okay with it. Given what's happened since then, I'm more than happy with the way things have worked out, to be honest. I'm okay. I'm cool with Neil Lennon. But at the time, obviously, rookie manager, going up against Walter Smith's Rangers. And one of his first signings went about was a free transfer from Aberdeen, but it was somebody that he knew because Charlie Mulgrew was a youth player when Neil Lennon was a Celtic player. So he knew him from youth. So trust, again, he knows him. And he brought him in. And I remember initially Charlie Mulgrew didn't really get in the team. It was really at the turn of the year in the first season. Mulgrew got in due to a few injuries. And he didn't play left back. He'd get put in at centre back. And he adapted to a new position. And over the next couple of years, Mulgrew was a fantastic player for us. The 2012 season, I was down at Kilmarnock the day that we won the league, and he was unreal that day. Unreal. So there are examples out there of players that have come back for a second spell, and it's actually worked out. So, but that's a name I've not seen come up at all. Everyone's always pointing to either say Sean Maloney, but it didn't work, and Fraser Forster, but it did. But I do remember Charlie Mulgrew is one that doesn't seem to get much hype. But I say it's all speculation at the moment, and that's what this is all about. Silly season at the moment, David. We're just going to next week will be the same. We'll still be debating it, but yeah, it does. It makes for good debate at this stage of the season, mate. Or stage of the summer.
It's the best part of it. I love it. I love just talking about players that we're never going to sign. It's great fun. Just like in the Boys of Us group chat, I do find it funny that Connor will just send me a bunch of random names and I just pretend that I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, a quick Google. Aye, man, we should sign him. He played 40 games for Man United back in 2023. Or sign him. I don't know, mate, but fuck it, sign them all. Just sign them. That's kind of what I felt like in the summer there. Just sign up. I just sign them. Fuck it. That's kind of when you look at some of the players that come in, you're like, well, that was a proper miss. That one, wasn't it? Like, what about this guy? Sure, fuck it, sign him. Yeah.
Aye,
well, hopefully there's a little bit more than that going on. Hey, listen, have we got a quick question? Maybe people in the chat can tell me. Did we ever sign a new head of recruitment?
That's never been announced officially. There was a guy named Cooper that was doing the rounds. It was never officially announced by the club. A guy named Marc Cooper or something like that. And people were pointing to a tweet that he did years ago where apparently he spotted a young Federico Valverde playing for like the under-16s Uruguay. Yeah, I was like, oh wow, he spotted Federico Valverde. Well, evidently Real Madrid must have spotted Federico Valverde as well because they've obviously got him now. But yeah, I'd seen that name flying around, but I've not seen the club officially announce anything. So yeah, that is something that's been in the back of my head, without a doubt, where I'm like, well, all these players we're getting linked with, but we haven't actually got a head of recruitment. But I'm a bit old school, obviously, and to me, the whole the manager should be the be all and end all, and the one that decides all this. All these directors of football and transfer committees and all that, and it's like, shouldn't it just be all down to the manager? Who cares if we don't have a director of football or a head of recruitment? It should be the manager that decides it.
That's not very forward thinking of you, Phil.
I know I'm looking back in, played too many years as football manager / champ manager. When I'm in control of all the transfers, but I just pick on a player in the database and go click on him, take him.
I'm being obviously a bit tongue in cheek there, but at the same time, this whole, if we do want to act like a big club, then we should maybe start acting like some of the big clubs because, I've seen an article just before we came on that Bayern Munich are pursuing Palhinha at Fulham again, which they tried to sign him last season. Now, obviously, they've got a new manager in Vincent Kompany, who obviously was not there last season. So that tells me that Bayern Munich are picking the players for him. You might be getting a say in some players, but these clubs, these big European clubs, they have their director of football, their head of recruitment, and are signing players for the manager that weren't there the summer before. So, I mean, it's finding that balance, I think. I think that, like you said, I don't mind there being a guy there that knows what he's talking about and wasn't just given the job because he had the same second name as the guy running the place. If he knows what he's talking about and says, look, I've identified this guy here, he suits everything that you're after, you might want to take a look at them, and then Brendan should be the one that signs it off in the end. I think that's the way it should be. But there's a reason why I cut here, and I'm not in charge of a football club. So we'll leave it at that. We've just went over an hour and 5 minutes. There's still 92 of you watching. I do appreciate you joining us on this lovely Tuesday evening. You said last night, Phil, there's going to be shows every week. So what's on tomorrow?
It's a busy week on the bus, despite being in the middle of pre-season or the summer. But yeah, a full week of shows. So tomorrow night, there's a new show debuting on the bus. Russell will be hosting it. I'm not going to give away too many details, but there is a new show tomorrow. So look out for that. Hit the subscribe button and you will see that. I'll let Russell surprise you all with that one, but look out for the link going up for that. Thursday, the TNF, and Friday, oh boy, I'm going to front up and do a Scotland PMP. I'm hoping they give me something good to work on. But as I said on Monday night with Michael and Liam, it's a free hit. The Scotland game on Friday is a free hit. I'm glad that we're getting the Germany game out of the way first, because if we do lose, I don't think it's a disaster. We've still got 2 games to sort it. But yeah, I will do PMP on Friday night. That'll be about 10ish, I would imagine. But yeah, we've got shows every night this week, despite it being in the middle of the summer. So there you go. Who says content was dry? Yeah.
That's it. And hopefully Agent McGregor, Forrest and Ralston and Greg Taylor are all talking to Angus Gunn and saying, listen,
up the road.
Up the road, you. And I'll be up the road for us, so we'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.
Yep. Catch you later, guys. See you.